A day of protest and violence in many of Turkey's major cities. It began last night with a police assault on Istanbul's Taksim Square and Gezi Park. And clashes there continue this hour. Security forces have been trying to end an 18-day anti-government demonstration, but they are meeting stiff resistance from protesters. We're going to take you to Istanbul now for a live update from freelance reporter Dorian Jones. So, Dorian, I gather you've been out on the streets today. What have you seen so far?
Well, it's just continual clashes between demonstrators and police. I've just returned from the main high street, shopping street of the city that leads up to Taksim Square, Gezi Park. Thousands of people have been in a standoff with the police, and the police have managed to finally disperse that by using huge amounts of gas and stun grenades. Many of the protesters are now in the side streets, but also we're hearing of two very other large gatherings in other city centre areas. One is only about a kilometre away from Taksim Square. It's a very upmarket area, but it's also seen thousands of people gathering there. That has also been a centre of major unrest last night, and that risk is continuing. Also around the Prime Minister's office, Istanbul office in Beşiktaş, large numbers of people are gathering. That followed dawn raids on leaders of a football fan club, a local football fan club, who have been prominent football supporters in opposing the government in this unrest. So it's still going on, and the numbers are continuing to swell, and that could well be in response to the Prime Minister organising a rally later on this evening in Istanbul. So the tension and cycle of tension is still continuing to progress.
As you mentioned, the Prime Minister is headed to Istanbul for another address. We know he spoke in Ankara on Saturday and had a very tough speech. What is the expectation? What is he likely to say when he speaks in Istanbul?
Well, no one really knows, but the expectation, to be honest, is that it's going to be another tough speech. In many ways, supporters and leading figures behind the scenes have seen this rally as a victory rally following the removal of the protesters from Gezi Park and Taksim Square. So there is this feeling that it will be, again, another tough speech, possibly again reiterating his belief that this unrest is not popular-based, but rather an international-backed conspiracy, along with conspirators in Turkey, to unseat his government. If it is another tough speech like this, the concern is that that will further escalate tensions and lead to even more protests, and leading trade unions are considering calling nationwide protests tomorrow.
All right, lots to watch for. We'll stay on it. Dorian, thanks very much for the very latest on this dramatic story. Dorian Jones in Istanbul.